I am very honored to be here and to make these presentations. But before we start the program, I'd like to call upon our Niagara County Sheriff, Mike Felicetti, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I would ask you all to please rise if you're able, and please remain standing for the Star-Spangled Banner following that.
Good evening, everyone. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. Sheriff made one of the nominations this evening, so we're glad he was able to do that. And now I call upon my good friend to sing the national anthem, performed by Pete Robinson. Pete, please come on up.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was absolutely wonderful, Peter. Thank you so much. And now if you may be seated. At this point, I'd like to call upon Father Walter Cesny, who is the pastor of Our Lady of Peace in Clarence, also formerly at St. Patrick's Church, All Saints Parish here in Lockport, to do the invocation. Thank you, Father, for being here.
Joy to be here. Almighty God, we, your children, gather this Tuesday evening in Lockport, New York. We acknowledge your presence in our lives. You are ever so present in the many joys and delights that you shower upon us. For those, we heartily thank you. We also acknowledge your presence in the challenges that come upon us in this journey that we call human life. These last 18 months of our history have been one big challenge for us amidst the COVID-19 virus pandemic. There has been illness. There has been loss of life. There has been depression. There has been heartbreak. We grieve. We hurt. Thank you for giving us the courage, the strength, the spirit to live through those days. We've also felt your presence in the extraordinary efforts of our brothers and sisters who have given so much of themselves, their time, their talent, their listening ear, their expertise during this crisis of the pandemic, so that we can not only carry on, but that we can be filled with the hope that they radiate upon us. We thank you, dear God, for these angels, these first responders, these hospital and medical workers, these police and firefighters, these civic and church leaders, members and volunteers, our community neighbors, yes, our family members, parents, spouses, children, brothers and sisters, all who were there for us when we thought that all hope was lost. They never gave up, and they encouraged us to joyfully anticipate tomorrow. We thank you, dear God, for sending them into our lives when we needed them most of all. We gather this evening to acknowledge them and to thank them. We humbly ask you, dear God, to bless them and to take ever good care of them, because they are ever so special and ever so precious. We ask this in your name. Amen. Amen.
Thank you for that wonderful invocation, Father Cesny. And it really makes you think about everything that we have gone through over the last 18 months or so. Thank you, Father. And now, to bring a perspective from the healthcare industry, a good friend of mine, the former mayor of the city of Lockport, and the chief executive officer of Eastern Niagara Hospital here in Lockport, I'm proud to call upon Ann McCaffrey to give the keynote address. Thank you for being here, Ann.
Good evening and welcome. I'm so pleased to be here tonight with all of you as Assemblyman Norris takes this opportunity to celebrate and honor our hometown heroes. I've known Assemblyman Norris for over a decade now, and I can say firsthand that he is a leader who cares deeply about this community and is known to shine the light on community members who stand out and meet the needs of their neighbor, no matter how difficult the circumstances. Assemblyman Norris is an ardent supporter of our men and women in healthcare, emergency services, law enforcement, and public health, as well as those who don't often get the recognition that they deserve. These are dedicated and passionate community members who aren't seeking this honor, but truly deserve it. We are here to honor many of our neighbors who put their personal self-interests aside to do what was needed for their community as we face the biggest public health threat imaginable. Many of them were confronted with the fear that their work may be the gateway of bringing the COVID-19 virus into their home and to their loved ones. We are here in the presence of many community members who went above and beyond during one of the most challenging years any of us can imagine. When I think back to those first initial weeks in the pandemic, when all of society shut down and all of healthcare went into overdrive, I can't help but remember so many questions and concerns. How would we get through this? Would the number of those infected with COVID-19 overwhelm our healthcare and emergency services beyond our ability to care for them? Did we have the resources in place to respond quickly and effectively? Could we as a community persevere to protect our neighbors? We've come through the last 16 months, and tonight is a night to reflect and recognize those among us who are truly remarkable. I am so appreciative that Assemblyman Norris has gathered us together for this night of gratitude. Assemblyman Norris represents residents in Niagara County, Northern Erie County, and a portion of Orleans County. Eastern Niagara Hospital is the only hospital in his district. Thinking back to those initial weeks, I'm reminded that the most important aspect of handling a crisis are responsiveness and communication. We are so fortunate to have an Assemblyman who advocated for Eastern Niagara Hospital and ensured that our needs received the attention necessary. There was one particular Sunday in early April when I was able to get both Assemblyman Norris and Senator Ort on a call early in the morning to work through our immense challenges. It's refreshing to know that we have the commitment of our state elected officials who are ready morning, noon, and night to assist their constituents during difficult times. Many of our awardees tonight are those who are on the front lines of the pandemic. From Eastern Niagara Hospital, we have numerous employees who go above and beyond every day. And the COVID-19 pandemic was no different. These are nurses who cared for our community's most critically ill patients with COVID. ER nurses who were the first face many COVID patients encountered. A respiratory therapist who was there to provide ventilator treatments to seriously ill COVID patients. Our urgent care manager who led the effort to implement the region's first drive-up urgent care, which ensured the safety of staff and patients. A laboratory technician who ensured the accurate and timely COVID testing for thousands of patients. our infection control director, who also took on the role to implement the largest vaccine distribution in our hospital's history, a nurse's aide who always had a smile and a helping hand to every patient in need, and a housekeeper who cleaned and sanitized patient rooms to ensure a safe environment for all patients. As I reflect on the pandemic, a few moments stand out to me. Coming home from the hospital and having bags of donations left on my front porch by friends and neighbors for me to bring back to the hospital. PPE, hand sanitizer, headbands for our nurses, homemade masks. And for weeks, every day at the hospital, we had so many businesses and concerned citizens who were donating meals, pizza, cookies, and food for our overwhelmed staff. And the flyover, remember the flyover over our local hospitals. The cars lined up on East Avenue and the neighbors outside looked to the sky. The camaraderie and shared experience of our Niagara Falls Air Base men and women who played their part in thanking our hospitals was something that all of us in healthcare will always remember. As we reflect on the pandemic, I will never forget the kindness of strangers, the tenacity of our community, and the resolve of our emergency responders and healthcare heroes who put themselves in danger to care for their neighbors. There are certainly parts of the pandemic that we would all like to forget, but there are many more aspects that remind us who we are. We are a resilient community who never wavered in our responsibility to care for and serve one another. That is what is so special about tonight. This chance for us to gather and reflect and honor those among us who stood out in the face of the unimaginable to serve their neighbor. Congratulations to all of the awardees tonight, and thank you, Assemblyman Norris, for taking the time to recognize these deserving individuals, our hometown heroes.
Thank you. I always call her Mayor McCaffrey. Once you're a mayor, you're always a mayor. So we thank you so much for those kind words and thoughtful words about what the hospital and all of us went through over these past 16 months. And speaking of that, I now call upon the Niagara County Health Director, Dan Stapleton, who did a tremendous job as well, ensuring that the testing sites, the vaccination sites, the PPE were all delivered properly. We truly appreciate you and the entire department for what you have done. So for a few comments now, Dan Stapleton, the Director of the Niagara County Health Department.
Good evening, everyone. What a great looking group out here. A lot of hometown heroes in this group. We're going in the right direction now. I've been doing a lot of speeches about COVID and hospitals, schools, every single day, multiple times. And I'm really tired of talking about COVID. You know, COVID has been dramatic in its effect on all of us. But you know, when we look at the numbers, and I need to look at the numbers every day, you know, 20,000 people who were infected in Niagara County, 361 of our loved ones who were lost to the disease. So I look at all of those things and I think, what's positive about that? Well, when people say, you're lucky that it's over, no, we're not lucky. This took a lot of hard work from everyone. We weren't given these new freedoms back. We earned them. Everybody in this room earned those freedoms back that we long to have so much. So it takes a lot of people working together. So when something like this, a crisis like COVID, comes about, it really shows a lot of the depth of a person in terms of what they can accomplish together. No one in the health department does the job without help from other people. Whether it's our staff, and a lot of them are here today, they save lives every single day. We've been doing this for about 18 months. It's a marathon that we've performed in a sprint fashion. Good, because it was brand new for us. You know, I dealt with H1N1 back in 2009, 2010. But COVID was nothing like that. I've had 2 pandemics in the past 13 years. Pandemics that are only supposed to happen once every 100 years have happened twice in the past 13 years for us. So a lot of the staff who are here today were there in H1N1 times, and they're here now today fighting COVID. So what defines you? I always tell people, don't let COVID define you. Don't let something that horrible define who you are and what you're about and what you've done. Think about how you've worked together with others. When nobody knew what was happening, people were scared. That's really when it shows whether people can work together, and we work together really well. You know, some of my counterparts, Jonathan Schultz is here, of course, he's the director of OEM, and of course, Sheriff Filicetti. And we get a lot of the pictures in the paper. But it's not us that does all the work. It's the staff in my department. It's clerical, it's nurses, it's the administration, it's people like sanitarians. The people who inspect restaurants during COVID, they were inspecting to make sure that rules won't be broken regarding isolation, quarantine, things like that. All these things had people doing things they never thought they'd be doing. I have staff who work with children who have disabilities. They weren't taking care of that. They were making sure that people could get their way into a COVID line and get vaccinated. My department's gone almost 60,000 doses that have been administered by them in about 60 clinics. And not one of those could be done without us all working together, because this is so much bigger than any one of us. And I think that's the first thing we needed to understand. So what I want to do is just, there's a number of staff who I've asked to be recognized tonight. First off, I want to say that every one of my staff, volunteers, partners, need to be acknowledged. But I understand we need to pick and highlight certain areas. But a lot of my nurses are there today. The people who went from doing 2,000 new cases every week, 2,000 cases every week, and now we're to about 20 a week. Hopefully that will continue to go down. But imagine going from 2,000 a week. How do you follow those people, call those people, say, do you have everything you need to be isolated from everyone else, including your family? So people did things they wouldn't necessarily be doing. So I wanted to recognize a few of those people. Francisco Meza Aguero is our Strategic National Stockpile Officer. It's a huge job. Anything we need, logistics, supplies, vaccine, whatever it is, Francisco needs to make sure it's there. It can't, well, we're going to get it tomorrow. No, it needs to be here now. And that's what he did every single day for 18 months. So I'd like to thank him, of course, for all the time that he's put in and always made sure that it was done right. And Francisco also manages our Medical Reserve Corps. Those are volunteers, medical professionals and not, who volunteer for these. 2 of the volunteers we have represented today are Dan and Linda Hunter. You know, they could do anything else. They're both retired. They could be anywhere else, and they're out in the cold, freezing at the drive-in. You know, your face stings from the cold and the rain and the snow. That's what they were doing. Dan volunteered us for H1N1 13 years ago. He helped us with testing that we did at Jonathan Schultz's office, and he was there for H1N1. He would be there in the horrible weather. His wife, who makes me tired just watching her, she carries pom-poms, red pom-poms, so you can see where she is in a crowd, so people know which line to get into for the vaccination. Once again, they could be anywhere else, but they're there helping us every single day. and we really appreciate everything that they did. And somebody who's really an integral part of our department, my Deputy Public Health Director, Director of Financial Operations, Vicki Pearson. Vicki and I have known each other for about 14 years, ever since I became the Public Health Director. She joined us. So, you know, we work together every day, 7 days a week. This was exhausting work. The first 6 months of this COVID, I had a meeting every single night, 7 days a week at 8 o'clock with the State Department of Health. If you've ever dealt with the State Department of Health, that's exhausting. So that's what we did. And Vicki's been with me since the very beginning. You know, we do a lot with very little in the health department. We didn't get the $160 million that Erie County got. We got this much. We beat anybody we go up against when we're doing 2,500 to 3,000 people in a drive-in who get their vaccination. That's a monumental effort. So Vicki is a key. She's by my side every single day. Lori Schoenfeld. Lori Schoenfeld is our former Director of Nursing Services. She retired after 36 years with the health department as a nurse. She's seen it all. She was my medical person. I had a question. She's the person, yeah, Dan, we better worry about that, or no, we don't. It's that simple. I'm not an RN. Anybody who's an RN knows how hard that job is. So, like I said, she waited for her retirement, even though she could have retired any time. She waited until the numbers started going down. She didn't have to do that. But we really appreciate everything she does, Lori. And then Elise Pignatora. Elise is not here today. Elise is our Director of Public Health Planning and Emergency Preparedness. And she's had been with the department for 13 years. She just left the area just last week. She was the architect of these clinics. She was the person who made sure we had all the people we need to make sure when we said something, it was accurate. I did 200 interviews during the COVID pandemic, and I can't go on there unless I know that what I'm saying is the truth. So like I said, we can't thank Elise Pignatora a lot any more than but we need to just keep on thanking her. But she's in Florida with her family, and we couldn't be proud of her and thank her for everything that she did. So basically, my bottom line is, don't let COVID define you. Work together, because otherwise it will not work. A small county like this, and we're relatively small, needs to work together. We don't have a crowd of people coming to help us. I work with Ann McCaffrey on a regular basis, making sure we got vaccine to underserved areas. Thousands of those. Office for the Aging, over 1,500 doses were administered to the Aging office. So thank you very much for recognizing us, and once again, thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you to your entire team, and also to everyone in the health departments in Erie and Orleans County and all throughout the state of New York as well. We appreciate all of your efforts. And now at this point in time, there's a few words I would like to say, and then we will be heading into the presentations to our hometown heroes. It's so interesting to me serving as your representative in Albany on behalf of 134,000 people in this district, that individuals from all walks of life came together in this unprecedented health crisis that faced the world, ones that we haven't seen like in over 100 years. And I remember very vividly, it was actually March 2nd, sitting at the state capitol, and we received a briefing from Dr. Howard Zucker, the Health Department New York State Commissioner. I'm sure you've seen him on television. And I could see him flipping his pages very quickly. And I felt that something big was coming. We had no idea, none of us did, but it came, and we dealt with it. And that is why I was so pleased to do the Hometown Heroes program, to recognize all of you, the honorees, for stepping up and doing unique and different things to help others, putting yourself above others in various capacities. And we're going to hear the stories tonight when we read the citation, the second paragraph. And it is just truly an honor and a privilege to represent all of you and to represent the people of this district who came together. I would be remiss if we didn't take a moment to remember those who died because of COVID. I'd ask for a moment of silence for those who passed away because of this horrific disease. In their honor and their memory, all of you stepped up during this crisis, and that is a privilege for me on behalf of all the people I represent to present all of you this evening a special assembly citation recognizing you as a hometown hero to the people of Western New York. I would like to just recognize the nominators as well. I received a lot of nominations, and I'm just grateful to those nominators who took the time to share the stories of their loved ones, of their co-workers, and of their friends with me and my staff. And many of you are receiving the award tonight, the Hometown Heroes, because of those nominators. I was asked by many to keep their nomination confidential. You may see them in the audience here tonight, they were invited. But to respect that, I will keep the nominators confidential. But please know that I deeply appreciate all of you for taking the time and sharing the great stories of the people who we're going to honor here tonight. I would like to just acknowledge a few elected officials who are also present this evening. And they include Niagara County Legislator Tony Nemi, Town of Lockport Supervisor Mark Crocker, and Paul Sajak, Town Councilman in the Town of Lockport. And I think there may be a few others, and if I missed you, I do apologize. But I thank all of you for the service that you provide and for being here this evening as well. And before we get any further, I do want to make the thank yous now, because as the night goes on, I just know it's going to go on, and I want to make sure I specifically thank these individuals. And at the very end, there will be a special presentation to the Palace Theater. But this is an extraordinary theater that has just been renovated by a massive renovation project. I would like to thank Ellen and Dr. Schratz and the director, Chris Parada, for their great work in restoring this theater, and all of their volunteers in allowing us to be here today. Thank you so very much. Isn't it spectacular? I would like to just thank those who participated in the program: Sheriff Felicetti, Father Walt Cesney, Pete Robinson, Dan Stapleton, Reverend Jim Hardy, who will have the hard job of putting a bow on all this, but I know he would do that to give the benediction, and Ann McCaffrey. Also to my staff, Dan Stapleton said it, and so did Ann. The staff is tremendous. I am so grateful to have such a wonderful staff, and they include my chief of staff, Paul Bologna, Nancy Brooks, Alex Quinn, Aaron Langworthy, and Mike Rennick. We appreciate all of the work that you did, as well as Jerry Farm. Thank you so very much. And I just want to also acknowledge LCTV, who's broadcasting this evening, and to our local media, who will be covering these stories in the local paper. If for some reason you don't want it to be covered, please let me know. But I know the paper is very, very excited about publishing the great stories that all of you have stepped up. So with that, we're going to begin the presentations. And what I'm going to ask is we have the honorees seated in rows A through G. And what we'll do, a little housekeeping here. We'll ask row A to please stand and go to the side. I will then bring you up in alphabetical order. They will provide me the citation, and then what I'll do is I will read the second paragraph of the citation, recognizing you. We will pose for a picture so we can always remember this very special day, and then you can go back along here. So it's almost like a graduation ceremony in some regards. We're going to try our very best, okay? But again, thank you to all the hometown heroes, thank you to all the nominators, and thank you to the families of the hometown heroes who provide the great support so they can do what they do each and every day. Thank you so very much. Okay, so if row A could please stand and go over there. We appreciate that. And what I'm going to do for the very first citation, I promise I will not read this for every single one, but there are 5 paragraphs in the citation, which is being presented by myself and the entire New York State Assembly. I will read the 4 paragraphs that are general for everybody so they can see and they can hear what is so special in this. So whereas it is important to honor our hometown heroes for the extraordinary efforts and selfless dedication to our community and neighbors during the COVID-19 pandemic, where during this unprecedented time, so many healthcare workers, first responders, essential workers, small businesses, community organization, and volunteers went beyond the call of duty to help and assist during this crisis. And whereas it is truly a testament to the character of the people of Western New York, where our citizens place others above self and come together in difficult times. And the honoree is a shining example of this commitment and worthy of special recognition as a hometown hero for stepping up during the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas a great state is only as great as those persons who give exemplary service to their community, whether through participation in humanitarian efforts, unique personal achievement, or simply through a lifetime of good citizenry. And now therefore be resolved that I, as a duly elected member of the New York State Assembly of the State of New York, of the 144th District, and on behalf of its citizens and the state legislature, I do recognize each and every one of you as hometown heroes with distinction for the selfless dedication and acts of goodwill, service, and duty during the COVID-19 health crisis, and extend my sincere gratitude for the outstanding service to Western New York. And here is a citation that will be honored to each hometown hero. And our first honoree in alphabetical order, John Betts. John, please come up. Whereas John Betts is a respiratory therapist who provided critical services throughout the pandemic, particularly in his efforts to provide respiratory therapy and ventilator management to numerous COVID patients. We truly appreciate your service. John, congratulations for being a hometown hero.
We'll do a group shot.
Our next honoree, Brian Bobbitt. Whereas when everything shut down in March of 2020, Brian Bobbitt and his staff continued to be hard at work in the village of Middleport during good and bad weather, pandemic or not, as essential workers, maintaining our roadways and assisting Middleport residents and emergency services during this unprecedented unprecedented crisis. Brian, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service. Now, our next honoree, Sarah Bautorf. I hope I got it right, Sarah. Whereas, when everything again shut down in March of 2020, Sarah and her co-workers continue to be hard at work in the Village of Middleport Department of Public Works during good and bad weather, pandemic or not, as essential workers maintaining our roadways and assisting Middleport residents and emergency services during this unprecedented crisis. Sarah, congratulations on being a hometown hero, and thank you for your service. Well, I'll tell everyone who nominated this great couple. I did. I saw it in the paper, the great work that they did from Wilson, good friends of mine. Jim and Colleen Bowman, please come up. Whereas Jim and Colleen Bowman, as the owners of Wilson Lakeside Market, took it upon themselves to come to the aid of their community by delivering and providing much-needed food to members of the Niagara Falls Reserve Station Fire Department who were confined to the base for weeks at a time, during which no one else could deliver food. Jim and Colleen, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your great service during the pandemic.
All right, thank you.
Our next honoree, Bill Chrysler. Whereas it takes a special, please come up, Bill. Whereas it takes a special individual like Bill Chrysler to be a bright light and a beacon of hope during a dark time. And that's exactly what Bill was to his neighbors in the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 by setting up safe neighborhood gatherings in his driveway for community members to socialize while continuing to assist his neighbors with yard work and any other household outdoor duties that was required without being asked, as he has done for many, many years, just out of the goodness of his heart. Bill, it is my distinct pleasure to name you a hometown hero. Congratulations, and thank you for your service.
Okay, thank you.
Our next honoree, Barbara Danvier. Please come forward. Whereas Barbara Danvier, registered nurse. I actually know a little bit about that. My mom was a registered nurse for you worked with her for 35 years. She's in the audience tonight, and so is my dad, Rob. Serves as a nurse in the ENH emergency department and has led her colleagues in many efforts to meet the highest standards of excellence in emergency medical care, including during the COVID-19 crisis. Barbara, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and we truly appreciate all of your great service.
Okay, great.
Okay, we have now moved on to row B, so if you could please stand up and please come to the side. Doug Eggert. Whereas when everything shut down in March of 2020, Doug Eggert and his co-workers continued to be hard at work in the Village of Middleport Department of Public Works during good and bad weather, pandemic or not, as essential workers, maintaining our roadways and assisting Middleport residents in emergency services during this unprecedented crisis. Doug, congratulations for being named a hometown hero, and we truly thank you for your great service. I'd like to call to the stage now Virginia Fitch. And whereas Virginia Fitch, registered nurse, an intensive care nurse who cared for numerous COVID-19 and critically ill patients with dedication and compassion throughout the pandemic and serves as a role model for others in the nursing profession. Virginia, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your dedicated service. And now I'd like to call upon Ellen Schratz, who will be filling in for George Fritz, our honoree as a hometown hero. Ellen, thank you for being here. George is out of town. Whereas for years, George Fritz has been a crucial part of the Lockport community, being a businessman who has helped revitalize the downtown business and tourism area despite economic obstacles, while also being involved in many promotional events and fundraising efforts to assist non-for-profit organizations who provide important assistance to those in need, especially during the COVID-19 crisis. It is my great honor to congratulate George Fritz on being named a hometown hero and thank him for his great service, and thank you, Ellen, for accepting the award on George's behalf. I'll call you back. I'd like to call up at this point in time Daniel Greenwald. Whereas Chief Daniel Greenwald was a prominent leader in organizing a team to combat the COVID-19 pandemic at the Niagara County Correctional Facility during this difficult time by providing and disseminating daily information to jail administration, medical staff, and maintenance personnel, beginning routine temperature checks for all incoming staff and inmates, providing necessary PPE protection, establishing cleaning regimens to meet CDC requirements, and was instrumental in securing COVID testing at the facility, further preventing the spread of the virus within the jail. And I would also just like to say to you, Chief, and to all the corrections officers who stepped up during the pandemic, we thank you all for your great service to protect our community and to protect our great country. So it is my great honor to present to you Chief Daniel Greenwald as a hometown hero, and thank you for your great service. Now I'd like to call forward Lori Haight. Whereas Lori Haight, registered nurse, is the infection control coordinator for Eastern Niagara Hospital and consistently ensures that the Eastern Niagara Hospital meets all safety protocols, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, and has taken the lead to provide COVID vaccines at the hospital for residents all across our community. Lori, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and we truly thank you for your great service. I'd like to now call upon Chief Brett Hanford of the Clarence Fire District. Chief, congratulations. Whereas being a volunteer firefighter takes extreme dedication and courage, especially in uncertain times like the COVID-19 pandemic, and Chief Brett Hanford of the Clarence Fire District Number 1 spends hours of training and responding to fire and emergency calls in addition to his regular duties and responsibilities, and helped lead the COVID-19 emergency response efforts, proactively securing PPE equipment, orchestrating numerous public relations and outreach events, and providing ongoing training, drills, and debriefing. And you are the first of a few, but I want to just thank you and your fellow volunteer firefighters and all of the volunteer firefighters for the great service that they provide to our community. And during that pandemic, when that bell rang, you were right there each and every time, and they never stopped working at all. We thank you, and we thank all the volunteer fire service for their great work. Thank you. Now it's my distinct pleasure to bring up Tina Harden. Whereas Tina Harden is a dedicated member of the Eastern Niagara Hospital Environmental Services team and has consistently stepped up to cover shifts and go above and beyond to ensure that the hospital meets the highest standards of safety and cleanliness, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Tina, congratulations for being a hometown hero, and thank you for your tremendous service. We appreciate it. Thank you, congratulations. Now it's my distinct pleasure to bring up Susan Hara Shaft. Whereas, in her role as a guidance counselor at North Park Middle School in Lockport, Susan Hara Shaft truly goes above and beyond what her job description requires. And while receiving calls from families anxious about providing essential needs for their children during these most challenging times of COVID-19, Susan began gathering names of deserving families and partnered with Niagara Produce to craft box food care packages, ensuring that these countless families struggling to put food on their tables would receive much needed assistance. Susan, thank you so much for your service, and congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and a special thank you to all of our educators out there who really had a struggling year but got through it, and our children will be greater for it. Thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's my distinct pleasure to bring up Ken Horvath, a hometown hero. Whereas the town of Lockport's very own park ranger, Ken Horvath, has not only kept up and maintained park trails for the past 14 years, but has also worked with dozens of Eagle Scouts over the years to establish rest stations throughout the parks, and by his dedicated efforts, families and residents are able to enjoy the parks and nature trails in the town of Lockport. And I can tell you they are spectacular, Ken. Thank you for all the work that you do for generations to come. And Ken deserves additional praise for his commitment as the COVID-19 pandemic impacted our communities, and to ensure that our Western New York community would enjoy safe and fun outdoor activities during this most difficult time. And I can tell you, everyone did socially distance, particularly at the nature park and Day Road Park, obviously, but everyone did enjoy that. It was because of your great work, Ken. We truly thank you. Congratulations on being named a hometown hero and for all of your service. Now I'd like to call up Daniel and Linda Hunter. We heard a little bit about the Hunters earlier on. Thank you so much for your service, and congratulations on being named a Hometown Heroes. Whereas Daniel and Linda Hunter selflessly served as volunteers for the Niagara County Health Department, devoting countless hours to the testing sites at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic and volunteering at most of the mass vaccination clinics throughout the county, placing their own health at risk for the betterment and the well-being of fellow citizens. We truly appreciate your efforts during this pandemic, and I know you volunteered before. We thank you and congratulations on being named Hometown Heroes. And Mr. Hunter would like to say a few words. Mr. Hunter, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Linda and I, along with the other volunteers of the Niagara County Health Department, would like to express our appreciation to Assemblyman Norris for instituting this recognition program. A special
I will say part of this. A special thank you goes to Mr. Dan Stapleton, Ms. Elise Pignatora, and Mr. Francisco Meza Acuero for their leadership and for making volunteers feel so welcomed and appreciated at the Niagara County Health Department's activities.
Linda and I are proud members of the Medical Reserve Corps volunteer group that served our community during this significant time for testing and distribution of vaccine that were available to fight the pandemic. Thanks to all, and remember, volunteers, every person can make a difference. Picture.
Green light. Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
The Hunters know a little bit about coordination with all those sites, so we got to stay on cue. So thank you very much to the Hunters. Okay, I just want to make sure our next honoree is Sherry Kirsch. Sherry, are you present today? Just want to make sure, and I want to just honor Sherry, whereas while serving as a nurse manager during the COVID-19 pandemic, facing extraordinary challenges, Sherry Kirsch rose to the occasion and led her team with only the safety and concern of the patients in mind. And this sense of dedication and hard work and leadership deserves all the recognition of the world, and we will make sure Sherry gets her citation. Now I'd like to call forward Pam Clark. Whereas in the midst and uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic, Pam Clark personally sewed over 2,000 masks at no charge for many people all around our community, and additionally donated 200 masks to each of the 4 Clarence elementary schools for the students, teachers, and staff. Pam, thank you so much for being a hometown hero. Thank you for what you do, and congratulations. It's my honor to present this to you. Amazing, 2,000 masks. I also would like to recognize Sherry Kleizak, who unfortunately could not be here today. I just want to make sure, Sherry, are you here? Okay, we will make sure you receive your citation, but I would like to explain. Whereas, while serving as a physical therapist at Brothers of Mercy, Sherry Kleizak's plate was already full at the start of the pandemic, but when she heard there was a staff shortage of nursing assistants, she began volunteering her time, helping the nursing home, and this extreme dedication to the well-being of our community deserves high praise and special recognitions. Sherry, congratulations, and we'll make sure you receive your citation. Captain Douglas Larkin, please come forward. And whereas being a volunteer firefighter takes extreme dedication and courage, especially in uncertain times like the COVID-19 pandemic, Captain Douglas Larkin of the Clarence Fire District No. 1 spends hours of training and responding to fire and emergency calls in addition to his regular duties and responsibilities, and helped lead the COVID-19 emergency response efforts, proactively securing PPE, orchestrating numerous public relations and outreach events, providing ongoing trainings, drills, and debriefings. Captain Doug Larkin, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service to our great community.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I would like to now call forward Charles Lingo. I make this presentation on behalf of both myself and Assemblywoman Karen McMahon, who serves as your representative. Whereas being a hero is not something new to Charles Lingo, who is a retired Master Sergeant in the United States Air Force, who once again answered the call of duty and serves his community, working part-time for Niagara County, delivering meals to seniors throughout their Eat Well and Stay Well program. And throughout the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, Charles risked his own health and well-being and did not miss one day of work, fulfilling his duties with thoughtfulness to the seniors on his route. Charles, congratulations on behalf of Assemblywoman Karen McMahon and myself for being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your great service, not only to our community, but your service to our great country. Thank you. Now I'd like to call forward Pat Lipekik. Please come forward. Whereas, as an activity aide in our local nursing home, Pat has been a great asset to its many residents, being personable and attentive on a daily basis. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, with visitors not being allowed in to see their loved ones, Pat helped fill this void, speaking and joking with residents, providing them with additional care and companionship. And you think about the year that we went through at our nursing home facilities, and you think about, unfortunately, the loved ones could not be with their family members, but we had heroes like you to take care of them. Pat, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your great service. Now, I call forward William A. Lorenz Jr. What a great story. Whereas, while serving as an attorney by day, William A. Lorenz Jr. finds himself in his off-work time since 2014, volunteering countless hours, selflessly serving as Buffalo's best Batman, the costume superhero at charity events, raising thousands of dollars for multiple organizations, and during the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, William A. Lorenz Jr. appeared at socially distanced birthday parties, parades, and also collected food and supplied donations at local food and blood drives, providing groceries, smiles, and needed support to our community throughout this dreaded pandemic. William, Batman, thank you very much for your service. We truly appreciate it. Now I call forward Margaret Megret. Whereas Maureen Megret, registered nurse, has been a key member of the nursing professionals at Eastern Niagara Hospital's emergency department, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as serving as a director of the hospital's sexual assault nurse examiner program, and her exceptional kindness, compassion, and clinical expertise always makes a difference for her patients and colleagues. Maureen, congratulations on being named a Hometown Hero. Thank you for everything that you do, and we truly appreciate your service. Thank you. Our next hometown hero, I bring forward Jane McCallum. Whereas Jane McCallum has been a critical member of the Eastern Niagara Hospital's laboratory department, and her skill and expertise in facilitating lab tests and implementing new COVID testing played a key role throughout our pandemic. Jane, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service each and every day. Thank you. Mike, I'll bring you up and Ryan both, okay? How's that sound? Mike and Ryan Meldrum. Here he comes. Whereas Mike and Ryan Meldrum have been volunteer firefighters for many years, which takes extreme dedication and courage, especially in uncertain times like the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas Mike recruited his son, Ryan, to join the Swarmsville Volunteer Fire Company at only age 19, spending hours of training and responding to fire and emergency calls. And while many are at home spending time with their families, both Mike and Ryan make sure their neighbors and community are safe. So I'm very pleased to present father and son a citation honoring you for being the community hero, and thank you all for your dedicated service. When you see Ryan, you know our future is bright, don't you? Now I'd like to call up Teresa Mauis. Whereas being a physician's assistant, Teresa Mauis has stood on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic right from the start, being an essential worker and placing others before herself through these challenges have been difficult and exhausting, but worthy. And Teresa has answered this true calling and served those in need during this critical time. Teresa, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service. Francisco Meza Aguero. Please come forward. Whereas serving as a strategic stockpile officer for the Niagara County Health Department, Francisco was responsible for the logistics, ensuring that the department had all of the supplies and PPE necessary to conduct the mass vaccination clinics throughout the county during the pandemic, which played a huge role in ensuring for safe sites to administer the vaccine in a more efficient and effective manner. Francisco, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service. Now, I would like to call upon John Hernandez, who will be accepting the award on behalf of Jim Owen. John, thank you for being here. Whereas, as a pantry director for Clarence First Presbyterian Church, Jim Owen plays an extremely important role feeding members of the Clarence community and putting food on their tables, as Jim is always able to get donations from countless people and businesses from the surrounding Clarence area. And with many people being out of work during the COVID-19 pandemic, Jim's role grew especially larger as he had more people using the pantry on a regular basis. So I would like to congratulate Jim Owen on being named a hometown hero and thank him for his service, and thank you, John, for being here to accept on his behalf. Now I call upon Victoria Pearson. Whereas governmental officials were faced with a great deal of unprecedented challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and while serving as the Deputy Public Health Director for Niagara County, Victoria Pearson provided extraordinary assistance to the department using her invaluable expertise to ensure proper direction and supervision in keeping county residents safe throughout the pandemic. Victoria, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your great service to our county and the state of New York. Now I call upon Valerie Perez. Whereas Valerie Perez, a nurse's aide at Eastern Niagara Hospital, cared for numerous COVID patients during this pandemic, and it consistently goes the extra mile to assist in any way needed on the 2 North Medical Surgical Unit. So Valerie, I would like to congratulate you for being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service each and every day. Congratulations. I now call upon Heather Thompson, who will be accepting the Hometown Hero Award on behalf of Elise Pignatara. Heather, thank you so much for being here to accept the award. I make this presentation on behalf of myself, and Assemblywoman Karen McMahon. And whereas, while working for the Niagara County Health Department, Elise Pignatara worked tirelessly and performed an exemplary job in her responsibilities as a lead person in charge of all operations for the COVID-19 testing and vaccination clinics throughout the county, ensuring for the safety at all sites and the well-being of all county residents. So on behalf of Elise, congratulations on being named a hometown hero. We thank her for her service, and Heather, thank you for accepting on her behalf. Now we call upon Ruth Ryder Work. Please. Whereas being a volunteer firefighter takes extreme dedication and courage, especially in uncertain times like the COVID-19 pandemic, Assistant Chief Ruth Ryder Work of the Clarence Fire District No. 1 spends hours of training and responding to fire and emergency calls in addition to her regular duties and responsibilities, and help lead the COVID-19 emergency response efforts, proactively securing PPE, orchestrating numerous public relations and outreach events, providing ongoing trainings, drills, and briefings. Ruth, on behalf of myself, I'd like to congratulate you on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service, not just during the COVID-19 pandemic, but each and every day. Thank you very much. Not only does the next recipient have a great voice, as we heard, but he does tremendous work for the people all around Western New York, and you'll hear this. Pete Robinson, please come forward as a hometown hero. And whereas in his role as founder of the Peanut Butter and Jelly Drive, Pete Robinson and his volunteers truly go above and beyond, especially throughout the pandemic, where more families struggled and needed food assistance. While fewer people, churches and business owners were able to afford to donate, Pete Robinson and the volunteers at the Peanut Butter and Jelly Drive held multiple drives and community events, collected thousands of jars of peanut butter and jelly, sorted donations, and assisted local food pantries in distributing them to children, families, seniors, and working poor throughout all of Western New York. Peter, we thank you for your service. I'm so pleased to work with you right now, currently, on the Peanut Butter and Jelly Drive. Little public announcement: through July 26, you can donate at several sites. But it's a fantastic project I'm working with Peter on, and we have to make sure we deliver him lots of peanut butter and jelly. So congratulations, Pete, on being named a hometown hero. Jonathan Rowan, please come forward. Whereas in the midst and uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic, Jonathan Rowan continued to show his compassion to his community by personally setting up a GoFundMe account for the families who were struggling during the pandemic, bought and delivered groceries to essential workers, doctors, nurses, and staff, and provided birthday parties complete with food, balloons, and cake for families throughout this difficult time, all while maintaining and keeping his family business up and running. Jonathan, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service. Lori Schoenfeld. Whereas Lori Schoenfeld serves as the Director of Nursing for Niagara County Health Department, where she has worked for 36 years and was instrumental in providing medical direction and oversight of the COVID-19 vaccination clinics within the county, and was responsible for the contact tracing that occurred in her department, and I know not a very easy job, on a daily basis, ensuring the safety of all county residents. Lori, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service over the last 36 years to the people of Niagara County. Jonathan Schultz. I'm pleased to make this presentation on both myself and Assemblyman Angelo Morinello, as he's your representative. Jonathan Schultz, I called you many times during the pandemic. When my constituents needed something, you were one of the first people that I called and my staff called. And we thank you and your entire team for the great work that you did during the pandemic. And I can also say during Lake Ontario flooding and so many other emergencies throughout Niagara County. Whereas, serving as a Niagara County Director of Emergency Services and Fire Coordinator, Jonathan Schultz has not only maintained the county's normal emergency services that continued each and every day during that pandemic, but since the COVID-19 pandemic began, he took on a greater role, receiving and distributing PPE and hand sanitizer to healthcare facilities, first responders, businesses, and citizens who needed it, while also participating in the coordination of county testing and vaccination sites. Jonathan, I'm so proud to call you my friend. Congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service each and every day. Our next honoree, Chad Shepard. I am pleased to make this presentation on both of myself as well as Assemblyman Angelo Morinello, who serves as your representative. Whereas, while serving as a nurse practitioner, Chad Shepard found himself right in the middle of the COVID-19 battle, working countless hours administering mass COVID vaccinations at community clinics while risking your own health, and dedicating himself to providing this life-saving measure and the best possible care he could provide to those vulnerable to COVID-19. Chad, thank you so much for your service on behalf of both myself and Assemblyman Morinello, and congratulations on being named a hometown hero. Now, the Director of the Niagara County Health Department, Daniel Stapleton. Dan truly stepped up during this pandemic for all of us here in Niagara County, but also in Western New York. You provided tremendous information to us through the media, and we really appreciate everything you did during the pandemic. And whereas during a time of crisis, the people turned to their governmental officials, and when confronted with the unprecedented health care crisis, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, Daniel Stapleton, serving as the Director of Public Health for Niagara County, led his team of healthcare professionals with dedication and distinction, providing exemplary administration, direction, and execution of a wide range of services which ensured the safety and well-being of all county residents and the people of Western New York. And like Jonathan, Dan, I called upon you many times, me and my staff. You've answered our calls each and every time. We thank you for your service, and we congratulate you on being named a hometown hero. And now our next recipient, Renee Silvies. Renee, whereas being a nurse for 30 years, a veteran of our armed services, and now teaching nurses education, Renee Silvies is a true example of selfless dedication to her community. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, Renee still insisted on working full-time as a nurse despite placing her own health in jeopardy. And that's why, as her nominator stated, we are so lucky to have individuals like Renee in our community. Renee, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service both to our community during COVID and during as well as our country in the armed services. Thank you so very much. And now I call upon Nick Cotrias. Please come forward. He's the owner of Uncle Jumbo's Distillery, and you have your sons with you as well. This is an amazing story, and we thank you for what you did, and early on during the pandemic. Whereas on Thursday, March 19th, you think about that, 2020, after Uncle Jumbo's Distillery gained approval from the U.S. Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau, Nick and his sons began producing and bottling hand sanitizer using a formulation provided by the World Health Organization, and kept their prices very low, as they were not allowed to give it away for free to help control the market, ensuring retail partners and consumers could purchase a steady supply and remain safe. We truly thank you for what you did. You think about all the hand sanitizer that we use, but you stepped up so early on in the pandemic, and we thank you, and we thank you for your intuition at that point in time. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Kathleen Voigt. Whereas Kathleen Voigt, registered nurse, manages Eastern Niagara Hospital's transit site, and at the start of the pandemic initiated the drive-through medical care delivery at the Express Care and facilitated outpatient surgery at the Niagara Regional Surgery Center, which allowed for the continuation of services during the pandemic. You think about that, what happened during the pandemic, obviously with those cases, but so many others injuries out there, and you were able to go to the hospital. We thank you for your service and for helping with that. Congratulations on the virus herself, but carried on and dedicated herself to providing these most vulnerable people the best possible care she could provide. Valerie, congratulations on being named a hometown hero, and thank you for your service each and every day. Barbara Zapolowski. Whereas Barbara Zapolowski, registered nurse, nursing supervisor, exceeded expectations throughout the pandemic to provide patient care, assist with vaccine clinics, and support the healthcare team in many facets. Barbara, thank you for your service, and congratulations on being named a hometown hero. We truly appreciate your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Hearing the stories of all those individuals really makes you proud to be a member of the Western New York community. I'm just truly honored and privileged to represent you. I think about that oftentimes, that many came before me and many will come after me in this seat. I just happen to be the person with the privilege to serve here temporarily. And on behalf of the 134,000 people that I'm privileged to represent, to bestow these honors today on all of you, our hometown heroes. I'd ask the audience to please stand and give you all a big round of applause. And our honorees, please stand, be recognized one more time. Thank you all for being named Hometown Heroes. We're almost on time. We're a little bit over. Could you just bear with us for one more minute? I would like to, again, thank the Palace Theater. I will now, you could please have a seat if you'd like. I'd like to call upon Ellen Schratz, please, for a special presentation. I am so honored and privileged to represent this district, but also to have been a part of trying to help restore this fantastic theater here, the Palace Theater. And the renovation that has taken place is absolutely extraordinary. And I'm now pleased that COVID is winding down and we're going to have our shows back. The movies are occurring right now. We have a special resolution which is adopted by both the New York State Senate and the New York State Assembly. Both Senator Ort and myself carried it to recognize the Palace on their grand restoration here and for the great work that they've done to revitalize and to make this theater special for many generations to come. So on behalf of the Palace Theater, I would like to congratulate you, Ellen, and thank you for you being here on behalf of the Palace Theater, and to present you and your entire board and your volunteers and Chris Parada this resolution recognizing the great work of the Palace. And now at this time, I would like to call upon the Reverend Jim Hardy, a good friend of mine, to offer a benediction, a prayer, to honor all those and to honor all of you. And this will be the last item on our program. I will just ask all of the honorees to please come forward for a group picture following the benediction. So again, on behalf of my team, on behalf of the theater here, I would like to just congratulate you one more time on being named a Hometown Hero. I would like to thank the nominators, and I'm just so honored to have been able to present these awards to you on behalf of the state legislature. So at this point in time, we'll be calling upon the Reverend Jim Hardy for the benediction, and following that, we ask all the honorees to come up for a group photo. Thank you again for everyone for being here tonight, and please be safe out there.
We are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. And now, as we depart from this place, go forth not with timidity, not with meekness, but with a solemn sense of duty that you have been called with courage to go forth from this place, no longer strangers to hardship, but friends, joyous friends, who have been blessed by God to make a difference in this place, to take your experiences, your tears, your laughter, to build a community filled with grace. Go forth in the love of God. Amen.
Thank you all again for being here. We want to thank the Palace Theater and their great staff. And at this point in time, I'd like the honorees to come forward for a group picture. Thank you all for being here. And congratulations to our Hometown Heroes.
Right on stage.